Welcome to the introduction of the history of convicts in Australia. Let's get started. From the 1600s, the British government transported political opponents and religious dissidents to the colonies of North America. However, after the Declaration of Independence was signed in America in 1776, this practice was ended and the British were soon left scrambling to find a new place to send the convicts that were overflowing from their prisons. Some prisoners were even being stored in barges because there just wasn't enough space in England. Luckily, Captain Cook had recently discovered and recognized the potential of the east coast of Australia, and he encouraged the British government to set up a penal colony there. Not only would this prevent overcrowding in prisons, but it would prevent the French from taking the land and provide a safe port for the British to trade from in the South Pacific, thus expanding the British Empire even further. Between 1788 and 1868, more than 162,000 convicts were transported to Australia. Some people viewed the transport of these vicious criminals as a welcome banishment. Good riddance to bad rubbish, they said. While others believed it was a humane alternative to execution or imprisonment in Great Britain. At least this way, some people could restart and have a new life. The voyage, though, was part of the punishment. Voyages lasted 6 to 10 months, and besides the sadness of being separated from loved ones, most prisoners were kept below decks in cramped conditions with little fresh air. However, after a financial bonus of £4 per head delivered alive to Australia was enacted, conditions for convicts improved slightly aboard the ships. A few facts about the initial convicts. The average age of males was 26 and the average age of females was 27, but the age range varied greatly and some were even under the age of 15. Males outnumbered females 6 to 1, and though some may have cited good riddance to such vicious criminals, most were not that vicious. In fact, over 80% of the convict offences were listed as offences against property, like theft or burglary. Most convicts were first sent to New South Wales, followed by Van Diemen's Land, which is now known as Tasmania. Some were also later sent to Western Australia, Victoria, and Queensland. Conditions for convicts varied from place to place. Most of the initial arrivals to New South Wales were put to work clearing the land for colonies. This was harsh work building houses, farming, and making roads, and the settlers almost starved in the early years. After that, women were put to work as servants doing domestic work such as cleaning, gardening, sewing, and caring for children, while males generally worked on the farm. The educated convicts could sometimes be employed to keep records or work on government projects. You didn't have to be a convict forever, though. Convicts whose sentences had expired if they had been in Australia for some time or who had received a pardon for good behaviour became emancipists. Emancipists could then settle their own land and even apply to have convicts of their own to help them work. This led to further and further colonization of Australia. After the initial stages of convict transport began to die out, expansion and the discovery of gold furthered interest in others from Great Britain and Ireland to choose to move and settle in Australia of their own free will. For many people who crossed the seas to Australia as convicts, labourers, or even free settlers, life in the new country was an improvement on what they left behind. The climate and diet were better, and children born in Australia were typically healthier and physically larger than their British and Irish counterparts. There were more opportunities in the colonies, especially after the gold rush, and the colonials had a more egalitarian attitude to society. Most were more aware of the rights they had as new colonists than they had had back home. The movement of people to Australia created a unique society that would lead the world in democratic and social reform in the early 20th century. Votes for women, minimum wage, old age pensions, and maternity allowances were just some of the reforms Australia promoted. Unfortunately, these reforms did not apply to the Indigenous population until much later on, but that is a different story. Thanks for watching!